Floyd Mayweather made more money than any boxer who ever lived. Over $1 billion in the ring. He built an entire identity out of flexing. The cash, the jet, the jewelry, they didn't call him Money Man for nothing. So here's the part that doesn't make sense. In May 2026, Mayweather filed a lawsuit claiming his own friend, the man he trusted to handle his fortune, had quietly drained $175 million. The man whose whole brand was showing you the money allegedly had no idea where it went. This is how that happened. Here's the version you've already heard. Floyd Mayweather is the guy who beat everyone. 50 fights, 50 wins, 0 losses. He outboxed Manny Pacquiao in the richest fight in history, then walked an MMA fighter named Conor McGregor around the ring for a $100 million payday. He retired untouchable, $1 billion richer, and is the smartest businessman in boxing. Or so everyone said. And then the story goes. The money started slipping, because everyone knows the Mayweather story, right? The gambling, the spending, the guy who posts photos next to private jets and stacks of hundreds. Even the Paul brothers spent years taunting him that he was secretly broke.
No,
The dude,
they
like,
call him Money Mayweather.
Bro,
where's your money?
He's walking around in women's Fendi clothing.
So when a lawsuit showed up in 2026 with Mayweather's name and the number $175 million attached to it, everyone assumed they knew exactly what it was. Another rich athlete who blew their money. Just another cautionary tale. At least that's what everyone thinks happened. The truth, however, is stranger, because Mayweather isn't saying he lost the money. He's saying somebody took it. To understand how you lose $175 million, you have to understand how much there is to lose in the first place. Floyd Mayweather earned somewhere around $1.2 billion in career purses, more than any fighter who has ever lived. His 2015 fight with Pacquiao was the highest grossing pay-per-view ever made, over 4 million buys, more than $400 million in revenue. 2 years later, the McGregor fight handed him another guaranteed $100 million night. But the money was never the point. The performance of the money was the point. This is the part to hold on to, because it explains everything that goes wrong later. Mayweather didn't just get rich, he built a brand called Money, the Money Team. He turned showing off his wealth into a marketing engine. The cash piled on beds, the watches, the fleet of cars all in the same color, the private jets, every photo screamed the same thing. I have so much that I don't even need to count it. And that, not needing to count it, is the crack this whole story falls through. Remember that part. Because by the 2020s, Floyd had so much money that managing it himself was impossible. So he did what every ultra-rich person does. He delegated. He found people he trusted to handle the machinery while he stayed the face. One of those people was a man named Jona Rechnitz, and according to Mayweather's own lawsuit, Rechnitz spent years building that trust, becoming his investment manager, his real estate advisor, the middleman between Floyd and his own bank accounts. And by the time Mayweather pivoted into real estate, a reported $400 million deal for a 1,000-unit New York housing portfolio, plus holdings in Chicago and Miami, the lawsuit says Rechnitz was embedded right in the middle of it all. In May 2025, on a stage at a real estate conference in New York, someone asked Floyd about him directly. His answer is the most important sentence in this entire story. "I trust Jona," Mayweather said. Not just 10%, 20%, 100%. He called Jona his friend, and they were going to keep doing business together. This was the peak, not of his fortune, but of his confidence in the machine he'd built. The self-made billionaire, the man who beat 50 opponents by reading them better than they read him. He stood up in a room full of investors and said he trusted one man with everything, completely, without reservation. And here's the detail that makes that moment land like a punch later. According to the lawsuit, when Mayweather entered into this relationship, he allegedly didn't know the full history of the man now standing between him and his money. But Floyd didn't lead with that on stage. On stage, it was 100%, total trust, the kind of trust you can only afford when you've stopped counting. You can probably already feel where this is going. The first crack shows up as a single wire transfer. According to the complaint on July 1st, 2024, $7.5 million of Mayweather's money was wired to a firm called First Apex Ventures. for what was supposed to be a 12-month investment. The investment, the lawsuit alleges, never happened. No investment was made, no profit was ever paid, and the money was never returned. $7.5 million, allegedly gone into nothing. And once you start pulling that thread, the lawsuit claims it doesn't stop. Over $15 million in settlement money from a real estate company, allegedly rerouted to that same firm at Rechnitz direction. $2.1 million from the refinance of a Las Vegas property, allegedly sent to First Apex without Mayweather's authorization, on a separate loan secured against 4 of Mayweather's own properties. The complaint alleges that of a $16.4 million loan, only $2.5 million actually ever reached him, and every one of them, the lawsuit says, ran through accounts Floyd didn't control, accounts run by the man he trusted 100%. But none of that, not the phantom investment, not the rerouted millions, is the part that makes this story unforgettable. The part you'll remember is the jewelry. Here's what Mayweather's lawsuit says was actually happening behind the brand. Remember the jewelry, the thing the entire money image was built on, the watches, the chains, the diamonds he showed the world to prove how rich he was. According to the complaint, Rechnitz allegedly took nearly $100 million of Mayweather's jewelry and pledged it to 2 Miami jewelers as collateral for about $13 million. Sit with that math for a second. $100 million in jewels handed over for 13. That's less than 14 cents on the dollar. And according to that lawsuit, much of that jewelry is still sitting with those jewelers, with no proper accounting ever given to Mayweather for what happened to it. The symbol of his entire fortune allegedly being sold off quietly, while he was still posting pictures of it. And then there's the detail that turns this from a financial story into something colder. The complaint allegedly includes a text message, a jeweler allegedly threatening to start selling off Floyd's pieces if a payment wasn't made, and the reply allegedly from Rechnitz, the trusted friend, the 100% guy, was 2 words: agreed, thanks. 2 words to greenlight selling off the legacy of the man who trusted him completely. That's what the lawsuit alleges. So let's go back to the question from the very beginning. How does the richest boxer alive, a man whose entire identity is knowing exactly how much money he has, not notice $175 million walking out the door? The lawsuit's answer is simple. He wasn't looking. He never looked. The whole brand was not needing to. He delegated the counting to one man, trusted him 100%, and allegedly that man held the only set of keys. The performance of wealth and the understanding of wealth turned out to be opposites, and Floyd had spent 20 years perfecting the performance. But here's where you need to slow down, because there's another side to this. The people Mayweather is suing aren't just taking it. Their attorney came out swinging, calling the claims utterly baseless, and saying they are refuted by substantial documentary evidence, including Mr. Mayweather's own correspondence. The defense says that when this goes to court, it's Mayweather's own gambling issues, prolific spending habits, monies owed to third-party creditors, and IRS tax liens that will be exposed, and that Floyd himself might be the one who ends up paying. And here's the uncomfortable truth. They have material to work with. Because while Mayweather was suing Rechnitz for $175 million, a Nevada court in 2026 found him in default in a child support case, ordering him to pay nearly $1 million in back supporting for his 5th child, after he allegedly paid only a fraction of what he owed and failed to even comply with a DNA test. There's a separate lawsuit over a 6-figure unpaid private jet bill. This is a man with a wall of his own financial problems. That's just true. So which is it? Was Floyd allegedly a victim who got robbed blind, or a chaotic spender looking for someone to blame? Here's the honest answer. We don't know yet. A court hasn't decided. But while everyone argues about whether Floyd is a victim or a mess, almost nobody noticed that this exact same thing had allegedly already happened to him once before, with a different man, for even more money. 4 months before he sued Jona Rechnitz, Floyd Mayweather filed another lawsuit. This one was against the television network Showtime and a former executive, and it alleged that for 15 years Mayweather's fight earnings had been wired not to him but to accounts controlled by another man he trusted, his longtime advisor, Haymon. The amount Mayweather claims is missing and unaccounted for $340 million. Stop and look at the shape of these 2 stories side by side. 2 separate lawsuits, 2 different trusted insiders, same pattern twice. And this is the real lesson. the one that's bigger than Floyd Mayweather. The richer you try to look, the less you actually see. Mayweather built a fortune so big he couldn't physically track it himself. So he handed the controls to one trusted insider, then did it again, and a single point of total trust becomes a single point of total failure. The flashier the fortune, the more invisible the machinery that runs it, and the easier it allegedly becomes to empty. Athletes get sold a fantasy of control. Own your brand, be your own boss, be money. But the actual control, the bank logins, the wire authorization, the signatures, sits with the quiet person standing just off camera. The fighter performs the wealth, someone else holds it, and you only find out which one of them really was in charge when the money's already gone. As of now, none of this is settled. Mayweather is seeking at least $175 million, plus a full accounting of where everything went. The defendants say they'll be vindicated and that Floyd will be the one writing a check. A judge will decide who's telling the truth, eventually. But the lesson doesn't need a verdict. Floyd Mayweather spent his entire life making sure the whole world could see his money. The cash, the cars, the jewels, the jets, all of it. On display all the time. And if his own lawsuit is true, the one thing he never actually saw was his own money leaving. He was the best in the world at showing you fortune. He just allegedly forgot to watch it. So next time you see someone flashing everything they own, ask the real question. Are they showing you how much they have or how little they're actually watching it? Because the people who truly control the money, you never see them outlandishly showing it to others.